Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be ripping apart my CR250 shock and powder coating the spring and the shock body. It was kind of two parts. I powder coated the spring when I was doing the bike build, and the rest was just recently, a couple weeks ago. So it's a little bit weird, but it should make sense once we get into it. So enjoy the teardown. Alright guys, the first thing we got to do here is remove the shock spring so I can remove the paint on it. So I'm going to get a measurement of it. Looks like it's about 10 inches compressed, just so that when I put it back on, I have an estimate of how tight to get it. So I already loosened up this top locking nut here. I'm going to spin it all the way. You can just use a screwdriver to tap this thing off with a mallet. The way I did. So I'm going to loosen this other one, which I didn't do already. Alright guys, I got this nut loose here. Let me finish back end off here. I want to get it up to this top one or so. So we have plenty of room so we can slide it up, and then this piece here should slide up. Okay, now they're separated enough to where we can see that little clip in there. It's going to be right here. That's where the end is. And separate that clip like so, and then just like piston rings, pull it off and out, and then these pieces should separate here like that, and our spring slide right on off. So I'll probably take this outside, get it all degreased. I think someone has rebuilt the shock, because I don't remember the shock bumper being black stock, but never know. Alright guys, I got this shock spring all cleaned up, no more paint on it. It's nice and clean, ready to powder coat it. I'm going to do the chrome base coat first, and then we're going to do the dazzling red over it. So let's get to it. Okay, I know what you're saying. Why is it back together already? Why is it so dirty? And what's this guy doing? This guy's gotta be an idiot. Well, okay, so this is 40 hours of riding on the shock. I know. I'm really slacking on the videos. So this is the 12th of November in 2022. This might not even be out for like another 6 months. Hopefully it gets out within the next month. But here it is. I'm going to rebuild this shock today because of this right here. See that? That is the seal leaking. It was doing this when I got it, and I just chose to not do it. I got the fluid when I was doing the bike build, and I just did not want to do it. So I guess that's what I'm doing today. So I guess I got to start disassembling and then clean some of this stuff, obviously. And I want to try something different once I get it all assembled and cleaned out. Gonna maybe get some of the casting marks off of the shock body and powder coat it black. So I think that'll look really cool. So unfortunately I might have to press out this bearing up here, or bushing, I'm not really sure, I don't remember what it is. But yeah, it should be fun. So I just got to get to work on disassembling this thing. Alright guys, so we got the shock here. I need to first, I'm gonna get the spring off, so I need to get these two halves apart right here. And I didn't mention, but I am going to be using the Pivot Works shock rebuild kit. It's got everything you need: new seal, new bladder, new piston ring in there, and the shock bumper, which I'm not going to use, but I'll tell you about that later. So to start off here, I'm gonna try and get this outer off. So I'm just gonna use the spring here. as kind of a support for the inner. I'll whack it and see if I can't get it to come off. So it is really hard to see. I'll try and zoom in, but there is a circlip here. Once I do this, I'm gonna count my clickers, and then I'm gonna take it outside and give it a wash with some simple green. Now our spring can come off too. All right, I got it cleaned up a little bit, you know, as much as I can do, and I got, I don't know what you want to call it, this cap off. I need to zip tie it up, but there you can see the seal. It's all kind of nasty. All right, so I'm gonna take the valve stem out. I got this tool I made. Yep, so there it is. Leave it right there for now. Now I gotta get off this outer. I loosened it when you get in the oil pan. Okay, I got my oil pan here. We gotta get this guy off right here, which is a 21. Probably should have got more rags, but that's how we roll here. Make the mess and clean it up later. Well, there you go. It's got a little bit of pressure in there. That's why you always want to wear your safety squints. That stuff is pretty nasty. Yeah, you can tell this shock has not been replaced or rebuilt in a while. So there is the clicker assembly, the upper clicker assembly, I should say. Let's dump the rest of that out. Nice color though. It's pretty liquidy. Alright, so I got an oil mat here. If you're gonna do anything concerning like a lot of oil, I'd recommend these pig mats. You can probably find them at like Napa or something, but they just absorb it real well. Put them in your boat if you got an oil leak, anything really. So now we got to get this bladder down so we can access the circlip, and sometimes you can get these by hand, sometimes you can't. If you can't, then you got to get a socket and pound it down. Looks like I was able to get this one, so that's good. Yeah, you got that circlip coming. I'd recommend getting an actual tool to do this. There it is. It's pretty heavy circlip, so something to be wary of. Let me get out my tools. I got the shock seal bullet over there and the valve stem puller. I don't know if I'm gonna need this. You could do it without it, just makes it easier. I'm sure you could make some sort of a tool to do that, but this will just make it a little easier. So you thread it onto the valve stem and just pull it on out. Let me get my oil pan back because I know some's gonna come out. It doesn't look like it's in too bad shape there. You can see, I've seen worse. So you gotta zip tie this seal guard, whatever you want to call it, just so it stays out of your way as you continue on. And get the zip tie nice and tight and slide it up right about there, so when you tip it up it doesn't come falling down. So then what you want to do, I didn't get the tool for it because it was too expensive, but you gotta press down on the seal right here. Let me clean it out a little bit. Like so, press it down. You can use your thumbs. It's not really that hard. If it is really hard, then I would recommend getting the tool for it. It's a Race Tech tool, that's why it's so expensive. But it'll make your life a little bit easier. So now we got another circlip. I don't know if you guys can see it in there, but there is a circlip in there. That's what these things are made of. Circlip City. So I'm gonna try this past 90-degree pick, see if I can get it in there. And I'm just gonna use the screwdriver and the pick. I'm gonna just kind of pull it out. Pretty simple. If you got the tools, it's not that hard to do. If you don't have the tools, then it's not as easy, but still doable. Let me bring back the oil pan. I don't think there's gonna be much, but Alright guys, so what I ended up doing to get this seal out is I don't want to put it in the vise because I don't have soft jaws and blocks of wood aren't amazing. So I was just using the edge of the bench, this was on the edge of the bench, and I put a screwdriver down in this hole at the end. So I'm going to start taking this apart. Seal will come out now. Along with the shim stack, let the rest of the oil drip off. Okay, so let's see. Looks like someone has replaced or taken all this apart before. As you can see, looks like it was ground right there, which means that someone was grinding the stock peen. They peen the nut onto the shaft. So that's not ideal, but I can work with it. So I'm gonna have to get this nut off. Might have to put it in the vise and get it loose, and then I can show you guys. Alright guys, I got this nut loose in the vise. I just gave it a little bit of heat just to help break up any of the Loctite that was left. It is nice to not have to deal with that peen though. So let me get a screwdriver ready so I can get the shim stack off, as you don't want to misplace or change the order of any of these shims unless you know what you're doing, like Race Tech or any of the suspension guys. They know what they're doing. Okay, so there is the shim stack. It's all taken apart. I'm not gonna mess with it, but I will replace the bushing, piston ring, whatever you want to call it, that is part of it. But let me just set that off to the side right now so I don't have to deal with any of it. So this is why you need the seal bullet, just to get past all this stuff. So I can take our old seal off. So you see inside of there is the actual seal. This is just a dust seal. Obviously the dust seal didn't fully do its job, and that's why I'm in here. So now I can just get the rest of this apart. So it goes seal, obviously nut, seal, and cap, which clean, and bumper, and then here's our shaft. So what I might do is I might polish up this shaft. I do have the Prime MX polishing wheels, so I'll probably get it all cleaned up and then I might tackle polishing it. I'm pretty sure this is a chrome coating. I'll just probably use the fine wheel and whichever compound is necessary to do it right, and I'll check for burrs. You can run your finger, take your glove off obviously, and then run your finger up and down the shaft. If you feel a sharp edge, something like catches your finger, then you're either going to want to replace the shaft. I've seen people replace the whole shaft, or you can take like a really fine sandpaper, like 1000, 1200, 1500 grit, and you can like really carefully sand that spot down, get the burr off of it, and then obviously if you can polish it. So I'm probably gonna do that next. Might show a little bit of that, clean up this, obviously I probably won't show that, and I'll get this body all cleaned up with the simple green, and then I'll tackle powder coating it. Should be fun. Let me spin off these rings too. Alright, there we go. And so I'm pretty sure, I'll have to check, but I don't think you rub on this with the Restyle kit because there's plastic in the way. So that should be even better for powder coating. So I don't have to worry about it wearing off in that spot, which is something that tends to happen. But I'll probably grind down a couple spots right here. You can see a casting mark right there. Those numbers right there. Smooth everything out, just get it nice and clean. Like finish that line right there and right there. Obviously I got to get out some of the seal stuff, so hopefully that is pretty easy. That will probably burn in the oven. I don't know, I could try and get some of this off, but I might not. First I got to clean it. I won't show that, so I'll probably just skip powder coating it right now and then back to assembly. Alright guys, I got the shock body all cleaned up, cleaned all the grease off of it, and it's ready for powder coating here. I got it all hooked up, taped up. So let's go for it. I got some gloss black in the powder coat gun right now. So got it all hooked up, the air's ready. Let's spray. Alright guys, the shock powder coat came out pretty good. Could have done a little better. I think the Harbor Freight paint gun isn't the best. Just doesn't energize right. Didn't want to stick to the bottom, so I had to do it again. But anyway, worked out well. I got the nuts on good. Everything's all cleaned out. Polished the shaft a little bit. You probably can't see. I cleaned off all the aluminum parts, base, the bumper housing, other ring, and the bladder cap and seal cap. So I think we're ready to get back to reassembly. One thing I need to do is clean the shim stack and replace the piston ring just because we have it. Why not? So I'm gonna get some wire here, slide off the one side. Pretty sure this is the compression side, but I'm not sure. I'm not a suspension expert here, but let me get some wire. I won't take the other end off of the screwdriver just because it's a little easier to keep track of things when you only have one shim stack floating around. So there's that. Put my gloves back on so I don't have super oily hands. So the easiest way to get this piston ring off is just to cut it. Okay, so here is the old piston ring. You can see right there, it's got some wear on it pretty good. I gotta get the O-rings off. Gotta pick under it, peel them off. Like so. Okay guys, that was the CR250 shock rebuild part 1, just the teardown of it and the powder coating. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Part 2 is coming up soon. Should be out in a couple days. So stay tuned for that and I'll see you guys there. Take care and have a great day.